Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to another episode of reading Joseph Smith. And we are on chapter 13. We're on episode 13, but now reading First Nephi 19. And does anybody have any comment about this? Fitz, do you have any comments about this?
Well, I'm bummed that I've missed the last couple episodes because we've missed some really good stuff. But and this episode, to be honest, there's a lot in here where it's just like yada 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 yada, even more so than your average Book of Mormon passages. But let's not give the game away. We'll just let him hang himself as he writes.
All right. So we were having to. I'm glad that you're here, Fitz, because we're having to deal with Bryce could not be here today. Jimmy's not here today, and so we're a little light. But I've got Shannon. I've got
You've got
Fitz.
Shannon. You got Tomer. What else do you need? Yeah.
Right.
And we have
Yeah.
Tomer, who's joining us again,
Yes,
bringing in
hello.
the Israeli perspective, since we are talking about Israel's or Israelis coming over and becoming Native Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In a fan fiction-y sort of way. Yeah.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
very badly written fan fiction-y sort of way. Yes.
So who wants to do the reading today?
Before we begin with the reading, I would like to say a couple of things. First, I want to say thank you for. Wait, my my train of thought is gone. I wanted to say that I'm happy to see the positive comments in the previous episode. People enjoyed my commentary, and I'm really glad that people enjoyed what I have. So, and the second thing is that I've researched a bit about Lemuel, about not the man itself, but the name specifically. And the name actually appears in the Bible. It's in Proverbs 31:1, which is I think it refers to Solomon. And one explanation of this name is that it's a poetic phrasing of Lael, which means to God or to the God, to him. However, I found I found a negative meaning behind the name in a midrash in Numbers Rabbah 10:4, and it reads the following. Rabbi Ishmael said, on the self-same night that Solomon completed the work of the Holy Temple, he married Batya, daughter of Pharaoh, and there was great jubilation on account of the temple, and jubilation on account of Pharaoh's daughter, and the jubilation on account of Pharaoh's daughters exceeded that of the temple. The reason that he is called Lemuel is because he cast off the yoke of the kingdom of heaven from his shoulders, as if to say, Lama Loel, aka, what use is God to him?
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that's another thing that
Lemuel is
Americans
also
wouldn't.
the first name of Gulliver from Gulliver's Travels, if I'm not mistaken.
Most American scholars, when they're most Americans evaluating the Book of Mormon, regardless of their background, would not think to turn to the midrash.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've commented before about how Joseph Smith probably knew a midrash known as the Sefer Yashar, aka Book of Jasher. So
Okay.
I don't think However, I don't think he knew about a lot of those stuff.
I suspect he probably just stole from some pastor who did know about those books. That's my working theory, anyway.
Walker
Very
Bow, I
likely.
got a question. You put in
Walker
a
Bow!
you put in a
Hey.
link regarding the finances of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. What was that about?
There's a comment in the chat that was asking if there's a resource that you could learn about the finances of the Church of Jesus Christ. And
Gotcha.
I figured that was something we could relay upon them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
talked
we
about
have
that a
a-
little bit in my book as well.
We have a chat already up, so I'm going to go ahead and read that. Almond King says, or Almond King Music Channel. The Book of Mormon is like Romeo and Juliet, except there's no love story and it's just two groups of people fighting over petty reasons.
Yes.
Mm.
Very much so. And occasionally it switches on which ones are the good guys and which ones are the bad guys.
I've noticed that with the Bible too. I mean, this is one way that the
Yeah.
Book of Mormon is consistent with the Bible, because sometimes Jews are God's chosen people, and then the next minute, well, they're being plagued again for some damn reason.
Yeah,
You are
because
so gonna love my next book.
because the
You are
Jews
so gonna love my
um,
next book.
yeah,
Right.
because the Jews are the Jews are just they do whatever they want, you know. They worship a cattle in the next day, and the second day they demand to bring them food, and then God brings them so much food that it just comes out of their noses,
And they
Okay.
complain about that. Short-term amnesia is rife in the Bible.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
We're all dealing with 2-year-olds. Yeah. Okay.
so who wants to do the reading today?
I would love to do the reading just because I hardly get a chance to show up anymore, if that's cool with people.
Please.
All right. So we are on chapter 19. What a time to jump into the book, because this is one of the most boring passages he talks about.
Yeah. You missed
10
the
verses on-
boat last time. We
Literally.
had fun with that.
But here we go. Here we go. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded me, wherefore, this is me, Nephi, of course, wherefore I did make plates of ore, that I might engraven upon them the record of my people. And upon the plates which I made, I did engrave the record of my father, and also our journeyings in the wilderness, and the prophecies of my father, and also many of mine own prophecies have I engraven upon them.
Yeah, this reformed Egyptian that makes everything, condensed.
Yes, condensed.
Yeah.
So
You should have
condensed
read
that
the
it's
original.
non-existent.
Yeah. Boy, the
Right.
original Klingonese, it's a whole different story. And I knew not at the time when I made them that I should be commanded of the Lord to make these plates. Wherefore, the record of my father and the genealogy of his fathers and the more part of all our proceedings in the wilderness are engraven upon those first plates of which I have spoken. Wherefore,
Shut
which
up, dog.
transpired before I made these plates are of a truth more particularly made mention on by the first plates. And after I made these plates by way of commandment, I, Nephi, received a commandment that the ministry and the prophecies, the more plain and precious parts of them, that's beautiful, should be written upon these plates, and that these things that were written upon, and the things that which were written should be kept for the instruction of my people, who should possess the land, and also for other wise purposes, which purposes are known unto the Lord.
I've seen that.
Okay, now
I've
let's
seen the the phrase "these plates" repeating 6 times in this verse, and
Yeah.
it's so off-putting. I don't know why.
And there's at least
It is.
4 books of Nephi, and keeping track of which plates he's talking about, these plates and the other plates, and
right, the small plates and the large plates and all this. Okay, now one thing to take note of: plain and precious parts. That's Mormon talk for the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
It means that everything that got taken out of the Bible,
by those
all
evil
the plain
Catholics,
and precious things, by all the bad guys who went and did stuff to the Bible. That's why you have to have the Book of Mormon. So every time you see that plain and precious, every time that's mentioned, just know that's Joseph Smith saying, this book is the better one. This is why there's also the article of faith saying, it says, we believe the Bible to be the word of God as long as it is translated. No, we believe the Book of Mormon to be the word of God. We believe the Bible to be the word of God as long as it is translated correctly.
With that one little caveat.
So, that little caveat. And so,
Translated
of
correctly.
course, that means they're not taking into account that there's 10,000 changes from the first Book of Mormon to the current one.
Oh, we're gonna get a doozy of a caveat in
this
a
is
few
how
verses
Mormons
here
are.
too.
Oh, there's caveats all through this fucking book, but yes. So anyway, that's the thing to always remember. Plain and precious, that's Joseph Smith's talk for, this is my book and it is really plain and precious, and I'm going to tell you that it is, because it's really not.
I've also noticed that there is a Book of Mormon inside the Book of Mormon. Like,
yes, the reason why this is called the Book of Mormon, the whole entire book, is even though you have Words of Mormon and the Book of Mormon inside of it, is because the last one in there is Moroni. He's the one who gave the plates to Joseph Smith and all that shit. His father was Mormon. And his father is the one who condensed everything down to the one set of plates.
And this,
had like 27 different sets.
This
and so
repetitive gobbledygook we have to wade through is the condensed version. The reader's
this is the condensed version, and it's only a small part of the plates that Joseph Smith was given. But see, you have these first sections, and then you'll have Words of Mormon, where you've got Mormon saying, "Okay, those were the small plates, and now we're getting into the other ones that I have condensed and condensed and condensed." So this is me telling you what's going on. So that's why.
By the way, before started the program, I've I've read I've wanted to see how much verses, how much words are in a verse, particularly in this chapter, and by simple calculation of averages, I think that there are between 53 to 54 words per verse.
And they're saying the same
this
thing
chapter
over and over again. So it's really, if you did a Reader's Digest condensed version of this, you could do it in like 3 sentences, I think.
I don't want to imagine how many words in the not condensed version.
We should mention that in the 1830 format, it's written like a narrative. There's no verses. It's written as a regular book would, paragraphs, things like that. So,
Walker, do you remember who it was who put it into verses?
Oh, Bryce said it a few episodes ago. I don't
John
remember
Lennon.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there we go. Imagine there's. All right.
Where were we?
I'm sorry, that was Donny Osmond.
I think 4.
Chapter verse 4.
Yes. Wherefore I, Nephi, did make a record upon the other plates, which gives an account, or which gives a greater account of the wars and contentions and destructions of my people. And this I have done, and commanded my people what they should do after I was gone, and that these plates should be handed down from one generation to another, from one prophet to another, until further commandments of the Lord.
I think this is Joseph Smith like staging it. Like if he could make money off of this, there'd be another plate that he finds, and then he could give you more stories like this, and we can make more money off of it.
See, this is what I was raised with, is believing that sooner or later there was going to be more plates given to be translated. And we were taught in seminary that we would eventually reach the point where it would take a wheelbarrow to carry all of our scriptures.
Already taken
around.
a damn Mack truck to carry all the plates he's got so far.
I'd like to hear
this is all the scriptures.
How it is that Joseph Smith can just come out and call Muhammad a liar because Muhammad was declared to be the final prophet, or is God the liar for saying that Muhammad was the final prophet? Right. So where did Joseph Smith and Baha'u'llah come from?
Right.
I mean, I think that the phrase "which gives an account" can be removed. Like, you have the "which gives a greater account." Use that. I mean, you don't need to say "which gives an account" or "which gives a greater account." Like, it's redundant. You know, why?
So I've got a couple of chats to read. White Fox 998 for $10. Thank you. Says, I love everyone on the panel and welcome back, David. I'm in the early stages of learning Hebrew via Duolingo.
Nice.
Yeah. Does David and Tomer have any recommendations for how best to learn?
No, because Hebrew for me is a mother language, so I can't tell you how to learn Hebrew. I just learned it at first grade, and I don't remember how exactly. So
what a coincidence! I know a friend of mine in London, who had me be in his latest film. He made a movie called Learning Hebrew that has absolutely nothing to do with learning Hebrew. It's all about it's all about beautiful goth girls at raves. I don't understand what the connection is, but anyway.
Yeah, what? maybe the goths are called Hebrews. I don't know.
I think he probably learned too much from the clickbaity headlines.
Yeah. And now, see, we have another chat for Harvey Ott1, I guess, for $10. Thank you. Says you should replace every instance of "and it came to pass" with the 2 hours later line from Then J.R. Eldridge, hey there, J.R., says I only just realized that Brigham Young was a bloke. I thought you were saying Brigham Young. And that it was Joseph Smith's policy for obtaining wives.
Oh my God, I'm so feeling that line.
That's such a standard ex-Mormon joke.
Okay,
I'll have you know, it's the Brigham Young. Yep.
Oh God.
Yep. Which, Hey, they baptize them when you're 8 before you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and then baptize them again later.
Yeah. Okay.
Just sorry to cut in real fast, but my connection was super unstable for a minute there, so I thought I was gonna get kicked off altogether. If that happens, Aaron, can you shoot me a link on my iPhone and I'll try through the iPhone?
Okay. All right, I'll just prepare that just in case, so there won't be any downtime. Anyway, continue reading, please.
Do you want rural grandma back?
Well, isn't
or is David going to keep reading?
David's
frozen. He's gone already.
Yeah,
He's frozen.
Oh,
okay.
Well, yes. Do continue.
I will read it. I will be rural grandma again. And an account of my making these plates shall be given hereafter. And then behold, I proceed according to that which I have spoken. And this I do, that the more sacred things may be kept for the knowledge of my people. Nevertheless, I do not write anything upon plates, save it be that I think it be sacred, because otherwise then it can't be called sacred there. And now, if I do err, or if I do even I always like to say err better. Just sounds weird. I know that's the proper way to pronounce it, but err I like better. Anyway, and now if I do even did they of old, not that I would excuse myself because of other men, but because of the weakness which is in me according to the flesh, I would excuse myself.
Stop. There's so much unpacked just in that one line already.
Yep.
First of all, the caveat that, if I'm making mistakes, it's because the Bible made mistakes, and I'm copying from the Bible. Hint, hint. And that whole according to the flesh thing, that's right out of the New Testament. Katasarka, that's pure Greek. So he's stealing from things that haven't even been written yet. But
the whole way of saying if I end up getting proven wrong, it's not my fault.
Right.
Well, as some anecdote, as a mathematician, there is a special function that is called the error function, and it is symbolized as Earth. So, and that's why I said Earth, because I remember the error function.
There you go. I once had a T-shirt that said, "To err is human, to forgive is out of the question." And I wore it to
I'm sorry.
I wore it to a youth activity, a church youth activity, and Bishop was really not happy with me over that one.
White Fox 998 for $10. Thank you. Says off topic, but I was unfortunately already aware of him ages ago. I don't know who the him is, but I did try to watch Aaron's exchange. Oh, I guess it's me. Aaron's exchange with JLP. Whoever did not tell Aaron about how batshit that guy was is not his friend. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. And then another chat from Wet Doggo for €2 says, woof. I'm happy to see you guys are doing this. And I think that is a comment directed to you, Falcor. Okay. All right. And
All
who's reading now?
Do you want me to continue?
Sure.
All right.
Please.
For the things which some men esteem to be of great worth, both to the body and soul, others set it not and trample under their feet. Yeah, even the very God of Israel do men trample under their feet. I say trample under their feet, because I haven't already said that twice. I say trample under their feet,
What
but
the
I would
fuck is
speak
this?
in
What?
other.
Why? Just the repetition is just unnecessary. Like,
this is Mormonism.
You're talking about a 2-bit shyster from 160 years ago.
Yes.
Who thinks that this is divine revelation?
It's almost
this
as
is
if
not how
it was
divine
a
revelation is
and somebody was
supposed
at
to
the
be
side
read.
going.
This is him trying to keep his train of thought.
Yeah, he's dictating. So this is a oops, I already said that moment.
Nope, God told me to say it again. I have to say it again because I don't know why. I'll just say it again. They set him at naught.
It sounds more properly that way.
Yeah, to the voice of his counsels. And behold, he cometh, according to the words of the angel, in 600 years. This is how we know that Lehi left 600 years before the birth of Christ. Okay. 600 years from the time my father.
I love the fact wait. I love the fact that he just mentions out of the blue, behold, he cometh, without saying who he is. And we're all supposed to just know that that's Jesus,
Right.
Even though he's writing this 600 years in the past. Anyway.
Right. Yeah, no biggie. Yeah. He cometh according to the words of the angel in 600 years from the time that my daddy left Jerusalem. And the world, because of their iniquity, shall judge him to be a thing of naught. He likes this word, naught. Naught.
I think.
Yeah, he said it like 4 times in this column. What, Tomer?
No, I remember the naught is also something mathematical.
Yeah,
I think also 0, but there's also an aleph null, which can be said as aleph naught. So, sorry, I just
don't be. It's a lot more interesting than this is. Okay. Wherefore they scourge him, and he suffereth it. And they smite him, and he suffereth it. Yea, they spit upon him, and he suffereth it, because of his loving kindness and his long suffering towards the children of men.
So I want to know something about this this condensed or revised Egyptian. How you derive the word suffereth.
Well, and here's the funny thing. This is supposed to be Hebrews writing in Reformed Egyptian being translated into English that sounds like Elizabethan English. So it's just like
Though this is I think Mormon, I can't remember. Now I'm trying to remember if Mormon, when he condensed everything, put it in Reformed Egyptian, or if it was put in Reformed Egyptian in the first place because the plates were small and you didn't have a lot of space. Which one is it, Walker? Do you remember? Or does it matter?
I don't think it matters off it make believe, but I do know Joseph Smith pretended to know Greek, pretended to know how to say Egyptian words, and actually wrote those words down in like speeches and things like that. So he says, if you're French, you would say this, and if you're German, you'd say this, and if you're Egyptian, you'd say blah 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 blah. And it is not. It is just made up gibberish. And so it's funny that he pretends to know Egyptian, and then his tribe of people buy him an Egyptian papyri, and then expect him to read real Egyptian and translate that. You know what I mean? Like, so this whole argument about Reformed Egyptian is like, it's just an apologetic. Oh, it's not real Egyptian; it's fake Egyptian. That explains all this.
And when was the Rosetta Stone? When was the Rosetta Stone discovered?
Like
Napoleon's
the late
time,
1700s. So shortly, he didn't realize it, but as he's writing this, in France, they're already starting to crack Egyptian.
And I think it was.
I
think it was something Young who studied the Rosetta Stone, and he was a mathematician as well. Thomas Young. Young, I think his name was.
The guy who did that. One of Napoleon's guys. Well, not Napoleon's, but the French in Egypt.
No, he also studied the Rosetta Stone. I remember him because he's a mathematician.
But that was one of the ironies about Joseph Smith, is he thought if it's Egyptian, he has carte blanche to make it say whatever he wants it to say, and so he was constantly putting smoking guns in his mouth over it.
Right. And remember, this is all happening in the 1820s. So this is decades after the Rosetta Stone was discovered. He should have known, because this would have been in newspapers every fucking where.
He would have known. It was Egyptian mania was very, very big in the time, right? So that's where a lot of this culture came from. But he won't. Nobody in the United States, the young United States, really was an expert on Egyptian, right? So he could make up whatever he wanted, and no one would challenge him because there's no academic support for it yet. It's still being done in France. If you didn't speak French, you wouldn't, know it. And the funny thing is, like, when talking about what the Rosetta Stones they were learning learning the Coptic, right? The cursive, the we're talking
not the Demotic, but the hieroglyph.
Not the demonic, which is what this timeline would have been, right? If they were really writing Egyptian, or if he was really learning how to read Egyptian, it's a whole nother. It's not the cursive version. It's going to be the pictorial version. So it's all a big.
And you remember the characters manuscript when he had took it to Professor Anton, Anton
Yeah.
knew this is not Egyptian. So it's like the academia at the time, they had more of a clue than your average guy on the street.
It's like, this is not any known anything. Yeah.
Have you,
So this is
have you heard about the Greek Psalter incident? When
Right. Yeah.
That's when he pretended to be able to read Greek. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that on Glassbox back.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm trying to remember when it was. It was sometime last year. Yeah, Bryce went into the entire history of that. It was pretty funny.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is all very obviously fraudulent to us.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if there's ever a believing Mormon watching this show. I mean, if you're a believing Mormon, I would love to see a post from you or some kind of explanation of how you believe. I know this is going to sound disrespectful and confrontational, and frankly, it is. How do you believe this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't figure that out.
To be
for
fair,
me, things have to be.
This is just ridiculousness piled on ridiculousness, because the source material, our Old Testament, if you want to call it that, is just as bad.
It is just as bad.
Yeah.
The thing too, and let's see, I left when I was about 44, 45, something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I read this book to Mary. I don't think you know this. I said this on the first episode, but I read it more than 65 times. And I know it was that because I had tally marks inside of my Book of Mormon, the cover of it. But the thing you're running into here, especially those who are raised in the church, is you are told from birth, as soon as you start, even listening, you hear the Book of Mormon is true. The Book of Mormon is true. The Book of Mormon is true. Every month in church on Fast Sunday, that's what people are bearing their testimonies about. We're told regularly, they did it again this last general conference. There's 5 points of a testimony. The Book of Mormon is true. Jesus Christ is the head of the church. The prophet is the true prophet. The church is the true church. Joseph Smith was a prophet, that kind of thing. And you're taught to say that over and over. So you have this going in your head, the brainwashing. I mean, I bring up the brainwashing all the time because it is truly brainwashing, because you hear this over and over that it's true, it's true, it's true. You get the same thing with the Bible and any other Christian church. And so, you hear these stories. You're taught these stories in primary. You're taught these stories in family home evening every Monday night in your home. You're taught these in church, everything. So, yeah, you come into it believing it's true. You skim over this shit because it doesn't fit with what you've been taught. So for me, when I would be reading this, I would read it and just kind of skim over it and thinking, I don't quite understand it. I'm not to the right level of understanding. Next time I read it, I will. And so that's part of why I read it so many fucking times.
Right.
Is because of that. It's like Nephi killing Laban. I never could make sense of that in my head. In any of those 65 plus times. There was one time I did, but by the time I came back through, I couldn't remember. No, that was in the first 3 chapters.
Oh, okay.
That was at the beginning.
You guys get chopped off.
Yeah, Nephi is supposed to get the plates of brass from Laban, who's the head of Jerusalem, and big name guy. They can't buy him from him. He won't give them to him. All this shit. So then Nephi going out, not knowing what he was supposed to do, but the Lord told him to go out. He's out there at night. He finds Laban passed out, drunk in the gutter. God says, "Kill him. Go get the plates." So he does.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It doesn't make any sense
because Laban is passed out, drunk. In his own town, standing outside his own house,
all by himself.
Well, I did
wearing full battle armor.
Well, I did say that Laban means Lavan, which means white, so he's the evil one.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Right. He's the evil one. But see, this is what you have in there is you're told it's true. You say it's true. It's the emperor's new clothes thing. And so
exactly,
that's why people believe.
Yeah, and if you grew up Hindu, you believe in a blue-skinned, birthed out of his mother's side, and that's just your culture, right? It's just what you've been told is real, and that's what's real. So it doesn't, bow and
Yeah.
arrow.
You believe it,
everything like that.
you know, the whole thing of Joseph Smith only had an 8th grade education, and how could he write a book like this? That's something else you're told all the time.
Yeah.
The only way you get this is through inspiration. The only, you know, there's the different books show that they were different writers, and how would he know to do that? Well, because he had different translators, you know, scribes with him. Well, duh. But it's like, you know, it's not understanding the fact that you don't need an education to tell a story.
Just because you don't need
Right.
book learning, you need to read these.
Yes.
In the
And if
spirit.
there's anything you don't understand in your limited capacity, the whole point of the clergy is to say, don't worry, we got the answers, and you just have the faith.
You aren't at the right level of spirituality that
Exactly.
maybe when you come
before
back
meat.
to it again, then you'll
Yeah.
understand more. God will open more to your understanding. That's why people believe this.
Yeah.
That's exactly why, at least from my experience from 45 years in this.
And this is not unique to Mormonism at all. They're all that way. Peter.
Oh God, it's like
Yeah. No, it had the map of Nauvoo on the back of it. Had the signature from Emma saying she sold it to whoever, and I think it was Joseph Fielding Smith.
It's similar to how Jewish books like Sefer HaZohar and others like I think Targum Jonathan as well, which are attributed to rabbis like I think it was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai who is attributed to writing the Zohar, and Jonathan with the Targum. However, as far as I know, the Zohar was probably written like 12th century,
right?
And it's like Judaism has a tendency to just describe like they found a book, and this book was written a long time ago.
Yeah.
Similar to the book of Jasher and other.
Well, and Deuteronomy for that matter. Yeah.
It's like the Shroud of Turin, right? So, or whatever, the shroud that supposedly has Jesus's. Yeah, it's all.
Some people are complaining about the sound.
Yeah, that's probably me. I had the producer mic enabled instead of the one that the people could actually hear. So for those who didn't hear it, what I said is I had a conversation with a Mormon couple, a very nice couple, by the way.
Oh God! It just probably sounded like all of us being silent.
Yes, and so I told them that the papyrus had recently been found after it was supposed to be lost in a fire, and they just said, well, the one they found now is a fake. So that's the part you missed. My apologies for that.
They like to do that. There's so many things like that. The ones Joseph Fielding Smith, one of the prophets, got a hold of him. He locked them away in a vault. Things like, you know, they had the several of the seer stones because Joseph Smith, I don't know how many.
Have you noticed, how fraudsters like to call everything a fraud, and how people who only believe frauds like to call everything they don't believe a fraud?
Bingo.
Funny.
So that's one of those. I mean, the church has only recently, like in the last few years, admitted that the Book of Abraham wasn't translated from the Papyri. It's just inspired by it. They're not quite willing to say, okay, he just made the whole fucking thing up. But that's actually made a lot of people leave the church because they're willing to finally admit that.
Yeah.
That and Joseph Smith taking the wives of other men. That, oh God, I know people were excommunicated for teaching that, but now the church is finally willing to admit it.
Yep.
The Orwellianness of Mormonism is one of the things that make it super special.
Super special.
And it's very typical of so many other churches, especially in Christianity. You remember the Jim Baker thing. You know, all of these things. You get all these different televangelists that go and steal everybody's money. You get all these different ones, but it's like Mormonism is no different from any of them. You've got a con artist running who started it.
Convicted con artist,
yeah, who started it. You have leadership in it all the way through. I mean, Brigham Young was this horrifically violent asshole, but he was good at leading it. You know, you have L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige. You have all these different ones, and that's why it survives. Is they know that, you know, they have the charisma to start it. They convince people this is the way. Make people feel good, and they all stick with it, and then nobody wants to admit that the emperor has no clothes on.
Yeah. And what you just said, Shannon, that pattern of having a charismatic front guy who gets the ball rolling, and then having somebody with business smarts who doesn't have the charisma but has the enforcer and the hard-nosed
enforcer.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you got things like Russell M. Nelson. I mean, his thing, I swear, his leadership now as prophet of this church is, I want to go and shit on everything Gordon B. Hinckley did. Everything he fought me about, I'm going to change, you know? And that's all he's doing. But then you have Dallin Oaks.
He's really buttsore about that, right? Like
oh my God.
We can't be called Mormons. We don't believe that's a swear word now.
For Satan. And I'm like, yeah, Joseph Smith even called the Church of Mormons, just grow up. But, you know, it's like, but you have Dallin Oaks, who is a scary person. He is very, very frightening. I am really concerned about what's going to happen with this church when he is in total control. I think he's doing more of the running right now because Nelson is, I think, has dementia. But he is one scary ass person. Like,
you mean that wasn't a requirement to have dementia to be the prophet?
Oh, snap!
Don't we wish? Yeah. But then again, there's 3 previous presidents of the different BYUs that are in the quorum of 12, and those are the scariest ones.
I want to think that we're having this conversation just because we won't read verse 10.
That's exactly why. Long. All right. I'll read it. We'll get back on topic. I'm really good at tangents.
Hold on before you go. I've got some chats I got to read. Amun King Music Channel says, I have carpal tunnel, and I can only imagine how painful it must have been inscribing this dribble onto solid gold. Then J.R. Etheridge again says, a thing of naught as opposed to a naughty thing.
Go by.
Why don't we say that from now on?
And I have no idea how to pronounce this. LOPNC.
LOPNC.
For $5. What's that?
LOPNC.
LOPNC. Okay. For $5. Oh, yeah, they put the pronunciation right in it. Right. I love these, but could you also maybe release edited all reading and pertinent comments? So I guess they just want they want us to do
they want us to print a
audio
book. Oh,
and
God.
it came to pass that I, Nephi, I could do that.
Yeah, that would be kind of awesome, actually. The annotated Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Annotated by quote unquote scholars.
Yeah, and then if I do the audiobook like that, and I could, then that gives me the right to sign people's Book of Mormon when we go to conferences and so on.
Oh,
there you go.
There you go. I think you should do that.
Maybe it's Aaron's way of coming back.
Yeah. There we go. All right. And the God of our fathers, who were led out of Egypt, out of bondage, and also were preserved in the wilderness by him. Yeah, the God of Abraham and of Isaac and the God of Jacob, because they're all
really now
yielded.
I did not know this was the God of Abraham.
That's what they meant when they said the fathers. Oh my God. Okay. According to the words of the angel, as a man into the hands of wicked men to be lifted up, according to the words of Zenoch, and to be crucified, according to the words of Neum, and to be buried in the sepulchre, according to the words of Zenos.
Zenu?
Which, who? Yeah.
Zenu,
Concerning the 3 days of darkness, which should be a sign given of his death, and to those who should inhabit the isles of the sea, more especially given unto those who
time out. Wait, first of all, so much to say there. But it's like, did you say 3 hours of darkness or 3 days of darkness? Because I don't remember 3 days of darkness in the New Testament. saying that.
Nope. And
I've looked up the name, at least for Zenoch, and I've read that this is possible that the name derives from the Hebrew word zanach, which means to put aside, reject, or forsake. Neum, how do you say it? In American, how do you say it?
We don't say it. It's a made-up word.
It's a made-up word, yeah.
But if but if I'll say it in Hebrew, it will be probably neum, which means speech. So
now in the footnotes for this section, I will put this in that it gives a footnote to go to the Bible dictionary. This was put together by Bruce R. McConkie, I believe, for lost books. So this is where they give the excuse for all these names in there that nobody's ever heard of. The so-called lost books of the Bible are those documents that are mentioned in the Bible in such a way that it is evident they were considered authentic and valuable, but they are not found in the Bible today, sometimes called missing scripture. They consist of at least the following: Book of the Wars of the Lord, Book of Jasher, Book of the Acts of Solomon, Book of Samuel the Seer, Book of Gad the Seer, Nathan the Prophet, Prophecy of Ahijah. I know I'm saying that wrong. Ahijah. Visions of Iddo the Seer. All these different names, and so
most of which scholars think are completely made up by the guys who wrote Kings and Chronicles. Yeah.
Which is why Joseph Smith could do that in here, is just make up names to say, see, all of this, because all of them said it.
Right.
What I'm writing here is true. Of course, there is no them. I'm just making up names.
Fitz, you say that scholar, when it refers to, when parts of the Bible refer to these other mystery books that apparently don't exist anymore.
Right.
Like she just mentioned, the Book of Jasher, the Book of Ezra, the Book of the Wars of the Lord, and all of those.
The seer Udo, and
you're saying that the scholars are of the mind.
When I say scholars, there are secular scholars who say, I don't think these existed. There's other scholars.
Oh, they are secular. Do you want to trust secular, evil, atheist scholars?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you?
They can't be referring to all of those books because they're not one collective list.
But some of them were in serious doubt that they really existed.
And Xenos
sounds just like Enoch, the Book of Enoch, which was a real intertestamental book.
Xenos sounds Greek.
Xenos totally sounds Greek.
It doesn't sound Greek Hebrew. It reminds me of. It reminds me of the
It comes from Zeus.
Oh.
So yeah,
we're just interlooping now.
Sorry.
It reminded me of the philosopher Zeno.
Right.
But if I will be generous, maybe Zenosh, but again, it doesn't mean anything.
Too generous.
Zenosh, I don't know.
Remember, the Mighty Jav for $20 says one of the most damning things against beliefs like this: any being that was actually factually worthy of worship wouldn't want it. Gosh, that sounds like a good line. I should use that.
Yep.
A being of perfect love would find people worshiping them repulsive.
Yep.
Of course, I agree. And then Dave Tyndall says, I have a theory. Q is Joseph Smith's grandchild who took MK Ultra to discover Yoshi was the culprit behind Benghazi, and Trump's secret documents browser also hacked Hunter's laptop.
I knew it.
There we go.
Now
we got it.
I guess.
I'm surprised they didn't manage to find a way to get Hillary's emails onto Hunter's laptop, but okay.
Whatever. Why not? Yeah. All right. We're ready to go on with this drivel?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
For thus spake the prophet, the Lord God surely shall visit all the house of Israel at that day, some with his voice, because of their righteousness, unto their great joy and salvation, and others with the thunderings and the lightnings of his power, by tempest, by fire, and by smoke, and vapor of darkness, and by the opening of the earth, because we're not done with all these calamities, by the opening of the earth, and by mountains which shall be carried up.
Volcano man.
I'm like, does he mean volcanoes, or does he mean like those floating mountains in Avatar.
Well,
Okay.
it's just another. It's sure nice to be, of the house of Israel if you're gonna, get both salvation and damnation at the same time from the same person.
Yeah, well, it's not surprising. He is the God of battles, and all these things must surely come, saith the prophet Zenos. Remember, we mentioned him earlier, so we're going to say him again. And the rocks of the earth must rend, and because of the groanings of the earth, earthquakes, many of the kings of the isles of the sea shall be wrought upon by the Spirit of God to exclaim, the God of nature suffers.
So this is a different God, or is this the same God?
Who knows?
Same God.
Joseph Smith changed his mind on all that shit all the time.
That's true too.
This would be the Old Testament God he's talking about, right? He's thinking of the fire and brimstone kind of Old Testament.
Well,
wait
no,
a minute.
this is
the
when
Old
this is
Testament
this
God?
is supposed to be talking about when Jesus dies and all these calamities happen, and that the kings of the earth on the isles are like, oh no, the God of nature suffers.
It's difficult to know if he's ripping off Revelation here or if he's ripping off, other.
Yeah.
Wait, is the God of the Old Testament is the same God in the New Testament, or is like God the Father?
Yeah.
There was a meeting of rabbis and imams that agreed on this one point that I thought was interesting, that rabbis and imams would agree with each other on this thing. And that is that Christians worship a different God than they do. The imams and the Jews recognized that they both worship the God of Abraham, but that Christians worship Jesus.
Right.
They don't worship God the Father. Because there's all kinds of confusion about this, but I've seen lots of ministries. I can quote one right now that I'm writing a script for as today, that talks about when Jesus created the world.
Right. The whole Trinity thing really messes it up for the stricter monotheists amongst us.
It does.
At least they tried.
And Mormons do believe that Jesus did create the world under the direction of God the Father, because they see God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost as three separate individuals. The God and Jesus have bodies, the Holy Ghost does not. And so Mormons believe, and this is in the temple film, is that God Elohim told Jehovah, who is Jesus, to take Michael, who becomes Adam, and go down and create the earth, on the 7 days of creation, all that shit. The only time that Elohim gets involved is when man is created. And so Mormons say Jehovah is the God of the Old Testament, but he wasn't really God, but he was God, and others, and this is where they get all mixed up, because to Mormons, Jehovah is Jesus Christ,
and that's a late addition Joseph's belief, right? He teaches that 4 years after this date. So this date, when he's putting pen to paper in 1829, he's fire and brimstone. He's a Trinitarian in this point.
Yeah.
So he's talking like a Trinitarian, and he's talking about who's doing this, God the Father, and Zenos is a contemporary of Nephi. So this would have been like Noah's flood, or this would be some other calamity that he's talking about, or referencing some make-believe ripping of smoke and vapor and the earth carrying it apart, maybe the earth splitting up because of Noah or whatever.
So we got another chat. J.R. Eldridge says, are they sure that it's not the prophet Xerox? He just copied shit from other parts of the Bible. What's funny about that?
It would also explain the repetition. They just press 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, what's funny about that to me personally is it's Xerox. Of course, we're talking about Zenos is how you're pronouncing that. This is Xerox, and that's spelled with a Z, and this is with an X. But I knew a guy who went by the name, no kidding, Zenos. And he spelled it with an X.
Was he a Mormon?
No. No.
That's funny.
He was a stoner, dude. And ever since I've seen this, man, I can't get his voice out of my head.
Oh my God. I just read verse 13 and it's yikes. Oh, it's
yeah.
It's a lot of yikes.
It's a lot of yikes. Yep.
All right, well, let's read for the group now.
All right.
Yep.
And as for those who are at Jerusalem, saith the prophet, they shall be scourged by all people, because they crucified the God of Israel and turned their hearts aside, rejecting signs and wonders and the power and glory of the God of Israel.
The God
Hashtag
of the
Mormons
Jews.
will
not
say,
anti-Semitic at all.
Not
no, of course,
anti-Semitic at all. Yeah.
Mormons say also is prophesying the Holocaust.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's just, I don't know what to say. I mean,
That's a load of shit.
I mean,
You
I've
can't
read
tell Bible without
shit.
blood libel.
I've read that
Yes.
Mormons have a certain love-hate relation with Jews.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Many
that's the
of the-
hate
yeah.
part.
Yep.
This is the hate part.
Yeah, I
Many
was
of
taught
the leaders of the church since the beginning were anti-Semitic.
Yep.
Oh.
My
Many
father
of
was
them were.
anti-Semitic. He would teach,
Yeah.
you know, Jews don't have it right or whatever. They have a misunderstanding. They don't even believe in Jesus, that he didn't exist. And, you know, he gave the whole speech about how they were how he phrased it poorly. He was
They're
anti-Semitic.
misrepresented.
Oh yeah,
God
it
likes
was
them
so bad.
best, but now he likes us best. So screw those
Yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like McConkie, Bruce R. McConkie, in his 6-part Messiah series, but especially in the last one, he says outright, the Jews asked for it. Native Americans asked to be killed. The Jews asked to be killed. They all deserved the persecution. They deserved the killings. They deserved all of that.
Coincidentally,
Wow.
I've been told that I have asked to go to hell. I'm pretty sure I didn't ask that, but that's what they're telling me I did.
Yep. For sure.
This is
and so this is Mormonism. Of course, Mormons also like to say they've been persecuted worse than any other people on the face of the planet. And I said to one of them once, I was like, wait, so you're saying the church's early persecution was worse than the Holocaust? Oh, that didn't happen. I was like, oh,
what? Oh my!
All right, so okay, let's. I was like, okay, no,
I'm done.
I'm not even talking
Goodbye.
to you.
I'm done.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly it. I was like, you're just shitty. Yeah, Mormonism, full of shit. Okay.
That's the summary version.
That's the summary. Okay, here we go. So anyway, yeah, Tomer. It's
Yeah.
In some ways it would be nice if a Mormon, a full active believing Mormon got on the chat and talked, but the problem you get is the ones who would actually just talk and have a real conversation are not going to get on here, because the prophet said not to do that. The ones who do are the ones looking for an argument.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that don't listen.
And
they
a
don't
platform to preach, right? A
Yep.
soapbox. They're not here. They're not interested in a real conversation. They just want to spew their thing.
No. Yeah. So they will condemn me for being a mere woman daring to say this stuff about the church and to talk shit about good old Russell M. Nelson, because that violates the temple covenants I took. And that's all they're going to do. They're not going to hear a single word we say. So, yeah. But it would be fun if somebody did.
I would so love to have a conversation with a Mormon, and I say this having a whole family of them who will not speak to me ever.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, it would be interesting to have a Mormon talk to me. Somebody, and it might happen if they didn't already know me since childhood. Maybe one of those Mormons would have a discussion with me about this show, about how we're we had believing Muslims come on my Infidel Reads the Quran series.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a couple of times we did, and one made it for 4 episodes before deconverting.
Wow.
Awesome.
Interesting.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So let's see how long a Mormon would last on this show.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
I might be able to set that up I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, that would be amusing. And I don't mean to demean the person. I want to be very clear.
Right.
I don't understand how if this is obvious. The guy was a convicted fraud. Everything he says we know is wrong. This isn't Reformed Egyptian. There is no such thing. He's writing about things that had never existed at a time when they never existed. He's talking about, like horses and donkeys in South America with all of this steel that they're using.
Oh no, he's saying it. He's talking about North America. He's talking about upstate New York. Don't fall into this.
There's a Mormon excuse.
Apologetics. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if an elephant gets mentioned. I seem to remember there was.
Elephant.
Yeah. So
I can't remember.
And then, of course, the genetics and everything. And all these people are supposed to be Jewish, right? All of our Native American tribes are supposed to, or most of them, I guess. Or just the ones that are white and delightsome, I guess. Well, let's just look at everything wrong with this story, right? And let's bear in mind something else. There's not one bit that's right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But it's all sounds just like what somebody in the 1820s would think was right.
Yes.
Except how do you?
It's 19th century.
How
literature.
do you translate Hebrew? Or Hebrew people translating into, for whatever reason, Egyptian or Reformed Egyptian? And how do you get the Reformed Egyptian to give you the word suffereth?
Right. Yeah.
That's what the seer stone told him to do the right, and he even spelled it out.
Seer stones. The fact that what was the fraud that he was already convicted of? It was using seer stones.
Treasure seeking.
He's doing the exact same thing. It's a parlor trick at best.
Yes.
And they based a whole religion about this. So how is this obvious fraud? Well, I say this post-Trump, that people don't notice obvious frauds. So I guess I should just give up on the populace of my country.
This is why the story, the fairy tale of the Emperor's New Clothes exists, because this is such a common human failing. And so it is a very common thing. It's been around since humans began, I think.
Yeah.
I must have said something offensive to Fitzgerald. He's gone.
Send him the link. Yep. All right. Here we go. And because they turned their hearts aside, saith the prophet, and have despised the Holy One of Israel, they shall wander in the flesh and perish. Because you can't wander out of the flesh, just in the flesh and perish, and become a hiss and a byword and be hated among all the nations.
AKA Hitler.
Okay. Nevertheless, I know, Tomer, we can't stand it, but I know for you especially, this is highly insulting. Maybe you should turn your headphones off right now.
Yeah,
the high side?
I mean, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Just bizarre.
It is. It's just. It's not insulting. It's like insulting to the 100th degree here.
I guess.
I don't know.
The problem is when you go back as far as this, when you go back 160 years or more, you get language commonly being written that is really unnecessarily offensive. I mean, and this is coming from all authors. I mean, I've read David Hume, I've read Voltaire, both using exceedingly
anti-Semitic
and exceedingly racist in other ways language, things that we wouldn't even consider saying anything of that rude, but that was how people spoke back then. I remember reading something from the 1st century that was talking about the reason that people in the North had the skin color that they do is because they had more blood than other people.
That's right. I forgot that one. Oh my God. Yeah. And one of the arguments that gets used by ex-Mos and never-Mos with Mormons is, they bring up, if this really did come from God, then why did you have to have the 1978 give the priesthood to black men thing? Should have been that way from the very beginning if it came from God. If this is the right way that it should be, it should have been there from the beginning. Why didn't God do it that way? And that's another thing that Mormons do a lot of weaseling around trying to answer that while keeping their church true, and that's another one of those that's difficult.
One of the songs of the Book of Mormon stage play, and I believe that in 1978 God changed his mind about black people.
Yep. That's a good one. That's so good. The thing about that play, and any of you watching this, if you haven't seen that, go find a way to see it, because if you really want to see that process of understanding just how shitty this church is for somebody who is a believing member, it does show it actually quite well. And that's one of the things that impressed me a great deal on it, is watching this missionary come to realize just how fucking shitty this book is. And so
as he's trying to convert a handful of people in Uganda, and he just like opens the book to any page, and just it's the White and Delightsome reference.
He's like, in the dark and well, let's go on to here. Of course, then it's just So anyway, it's a good one. That's a fun one. Anyway, you want me to keep going with Grandma?
Fitz wants to do it.
What chapter are we on? What verse?
We're on verse 15.
Verse 15. Okay, let's see how much more anti-Semitism we can cram in here. Nevertheless, when that day cometh, saith the prophet, that they no more turn aside their hearts against the Holy One of Israel, then will he remember the covenants which he made to their fathers. Yea, then will he remember the isles of the sea. Yea, and all the people who are of the house of Israel will I gather in, saith the Lord, according to the words of the prophet Zenos, from the four quarters of the earth. Yea, and all the earth shall see the salvation of the Lord, saith the prophet. Every nation, kindred, tongue, and people shall be blessed. And I, Nephi, have written these things unto my people, that perhaps I might persuade them that they would remember the Lord their Redeemer. Wherefore I speak unto all the house of Israel, if it be so that they should obtain these things. For behold, I have workings in the spirit, which doth weary me, weary you, weary us, weary me even that all my joints are weak, for those who are at Jerusalem. For had not the Lord been merciful to show unto me concerning them, even as he had prophets of old, I should have perished too, also. And he surely did show.
What were you going to say, Tomer? Did you have something to say?
No, it just
it's more the same.
It's ramblings that I don't care.
Yeah.
The Bible is more interesting than this.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it will get better, but it's just.
I have to say, Tomer's right. I hated the Bible for the longest time, and then I read the Quran. And the Quran was the first book I'd ever read that was so unbearably bad that it made the Bible look good by comparison. Now, the Book of Mormon is unbearably bad too, but for a very different reason. Because the Book of Mormon is so obviously a scam, a one-man operation, whereas the Quran, Islam, is built not just on the Quran, and we don't know who wrote the Quran, and like pieces of it seem to be coming in at different places, and then you have the Hadiths again coming in from. It's like when you reference all of the rabbis speaking in the Midrash or whatever, you just some rabbi says an opinion, and therefore it's written down as law, and now that's part of the doctrine, right? Well, who was that guy? How would he know?
I would say that this is not the most accurate way to portray, but
Well, here's the thing.
You do have these rabbis who are speaking authoritatively.
But they are arguing with one another what should be the right thing to do. I mean,
but they're not just doing that, Tomer. They're also adding on to the story. That's the thing, and acting as though they had the inside scoop this whole time.
Yeah, because according to Judaism, you have the oral tradition as well that was passed from Moses on.
They say that, but they're saying things that like were inside the heads of people, and it's like no one could have had an oral tradition for some of these things. And again, this is not just a Jewish thing, not just a Hadith thing. It's Christians do it just as often.
So with the literally innumerable Hadiths, there's just like practically anybody's opinion is suddenly taken as as gospel. Like that. There are some people who say, "Well, we don't."
Until a later imam says, "Oh no, we have to clean house and get rid of all these." And lo and behold, like all the Shia Muslims think these are the good hadiths. All the Shiite Muslim, the Sunni think these are the good hadiths.
Exactly. But in the case of the Book of Mormon, this is a one-man operation so far.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, that's the hard part is that he had people writing for him like John Whitmer and a bunch of these others that were much more intelligent than him. But yeah.
And he may have been lifting ideas from other authors as well.
Right. Yeah. You had, oh God, what was that one? I just lost it. There's a very good argument that most of the Book of Mormon was cribbed from it. Walker, you know what I'm talking about, right?
There's a Spalding theory, but I don't account for it.
Not that. The Book of, oh God, what is it?
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Right. The Book of, oh God, what is it?
Hear the words of my mouth here. Okay, all right.
You know what? I talk about, there was another source that they talked about in the book, and I'll have to look it up later and find out something about the
from the Hebrews.
The gold
that's
book.
It.
What?
The gold. Oh yeah, the golden
view
book.
From the Hebrews.
View of the Hebrews. Yep,
that's.
They did a study on the language, and a lot of it matches. No. But you're David Fitzgerald. You're talking about something different, right?
Sorry, and I'm my internet's cutting in and out again. I apologize. So I missed a big chunk.
God
of that.
is cursing you, David. He wants to keep you off of here.
Right.
God is not very efficient.
Nope.
Not especially in Humboldt County.
Yeah. I'm the one who went through the temple. God, he's supposed to send a Danite after me. Actually,
I'm going to read a couple more chats while we're at this break here. The musical stylings of Brent Bunn offers $5 and says, Shannon's Southern grandma voice makes my heart happy.
Thank you.
Also, great
it's the only accent I can do.
Also, great to see Tomer visiting this series. Your work is much appreciated, everyone.
Thank you very much.
And then one more is from Levente.
Gonce Levente. If I pronounce it right, I think it's Gonce Levente.
Okay, Gonce Levente.
Gonce, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a pronunciation there, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
Tomer's anger and confusion over this reiterated and bizarre nature of this nonsense seems to validate Mark Twain's observation that this is chloroform in print.
Oh God! Do you know the story of the main reason why Mark Twain hates Mormons or hated Mormons?
No,
because as Samuel Clemens, he worked as a reporter. And he needed to interview Brigham Young, but he was also a really good reporter and an incredibly good writer who was good at
exposing
fun
bunk
at people, exposing bunk. Yes. And so Brigham Young didn't want to talk to him, but he had this interview with him. And so he made Samuel Clemens sit in his office for like an hour before he let him in, gave him the hi, goodbye kind of thing, 5 minutes, got him out. And it just pissed him off so bad to be disrespected like that. And so there's that. He would go up and down the street and he would ask kids, how many moms do you have? That kind of thing. He'd ask them all these different questions like that. And so, he said a lot of shitty things about Mormons in his books. It kind of makes me laugh when I look at him now. But I'm trying to remember which book it is. Of his Roughing It is the one he kind of shits on him the most, but he also says the point Mormons have to be faithful to marry such homely women. Which I was
no.
Okay, you're shitty, dude. That was a shitty remark, but I get where you're coming from.
That's punching
down. That's why.
That's punching down.
Brigham Young insulted him hugely, and so he struck back.
Yeah.
A Pebble in the Pond offers $5 and says, late, but glad I made it. Loving the commentary. And Aaron should definitely do a Book of Mormon audiobook.
Be better than the one the church has.
God.
It would be funny if that took off and sold.
Wouldn't it though?
All right, let's continue.
Footnotes would be anyway.
Where are we at?
I think we're in 20. I wondered if I should read it again with an Israeli accent or should I try with an American one.
Do your Israeli one. It's too good with that, especially if we have to have God speaking again.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. For behold, I have walkings in the spirit, which doth weary me, even that all my joints are weak. For those who are at Jerusalem, for had not the Lord had been merciful to show unto me concerning them, even as he had the prophets of old, I should have perished also. And he surely did show unto the prophets of old all things concerning them, and also it did show unto many concerning us. Wherefore it must needs be that we know concerning them, for they are written upon the plates of brass. And
so he's taken a forever long time to talk about those plates of brass that he stole from Laban.
Yeah.
now it came to pass that I, Nephi, did teach my bread. I just wanted this. I just, yeah, did teach my brethren these things, and it came to pass that I did read many things to them, which were engraven upon the plates of brass, that they might know concerning the doings of the Lord in all other lands among people of old. And I did write many things unto them which were written in the books of Moses, but that I might more fully persuade them to believe in the Lord or their Redeemer, I did read unto them that which was written by the prophet Isaiah. For I did liken all scriptures unto us, that I might be for our profit and learning. Well, sorry.
Yeah. Learning how to chloroform and print. Yeah.
Wherefore I spake
I'm glad
unto...
Tomer did that.
Wherefore I spake unto them, saying, Hear ye the words of the prophet, ye who are a remnant of the house of Israel. I, a branch who have been broken off. Hear ye the words of the prophet, which were written unto all the house of Israel, and liken them unto yourselves, that ye may have hope as well as your brethren from whom ye have been broken off. For after this manner as the prophet written.
So, yeah.
So
all of you have been lost, so therefore this is how we're bringing you back. Yeah.
And
So
now
what
I'm
was
going
the
to rip
point
off
of all
major
that?
portions. Now I'm going to rip off major portions of Isaiah. So here we go.
Oh, I know. God.
Yeah.
Do we? Yeah.
And
Isaiah.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the doubly ironic thing about him just plagiarizing from Isaiah in this part
I love
he's
where
not-
chapter 20. The introduction to chapter 20 just says, compare Isaiah 48.
Yes.
Well, here's the funny thing about that is like Isaiah 48.
Yeah, so what happens is that people
this.
reading this, reading this, and then they compare to Isaiah 48, and they don't realize that they're talking about a 2-bit shyster who's just like paraphrasing this earlier chapter, right? He's stealing stuff and paraphrasing it. They think, oh, these match. That proves prophecy.
Yeah,
well, they don't exactly match for one thing.
And this is Deutero. This is Deutero Isaiah as well. This is
exactly Walker. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is he's not actually quoting from Isaiah. He's quoting from the forger, second Isaiah, who wrote a century, somewhere anywhere between seven decades and a century later. Not to be confused with third Isaiah, who's coming later still. So it's just the irony upon irony is dogpiles so fast when we're talking about
it. Does. I was thinking too that it's not this one, but it's some later ones, I think, that of Isaiah that are quoted that according to biblical scholars hadn't even been written before 600 BC. And so yeah, but you also have it where the other issue here, and this is something that Mormon apologists will all explain, is these King Isaiah verses in here match the King James version, which has all of its own mistakes in it
1600
already.
King James mistakes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So
And
Metalhead offers $10. It says, as an ex-Mormon, I really appreciate all the humor and making fun of the religion of the book and Book of Mormon. Thank you very much for that. And Jacques Polimer says, Tomer is doing his reformed ancient Egyptian priest accent.
Well, you know, we are well versed in Reformed Egyptian. You know,
definitely it should be. Yeah.
You know what?
If we can jump into the next chat,
and we'll post it, and you'll have you read it.
I want to read the opening of chapter 20 if I can, and I want to do my preacher voice. Hearken and hear this, O house of Jacob, who are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, or out of the waters of baptism, who swear by the name of the Lord and make mention of the God of Israel. Yet they swear not in truth, nor in righteousness.
Now, I want to point out something here. Because he talks about the waters of Judah or out of the waters of baptism. And in Mormonism, they believe once you get baptized, you get adopted into the 12 tribes of Israel, usually Ephraim. And so that's what he means is, you know, out of the waters of Judah or the waters of baptism, whichever one it takes to get you into one of these tribes.
I should have.
I saw Deviant Outcast said, OMG, killing me with the Reformed Egyptian accent.
Oh, God. No, people are going to... Oh.
See, that's what you get for being on here, Tomer.
Yeah. Keep going, Aaron.
Okay, I will. Let me see. Nevertheless, they call themselves of the holy city, but they do not stay themselves upon the God of Israel, who is the Lord of hosts. Yeah, the Lord of hosts is his name. Behold, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did show them suddenly, and I did it because I knew thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. And I have even from the beginning declared to thee before it came to pass. I showed them thee, and I showed them for fear, lest they shouldst say, mine idol hath done them, and my graven image and my molten image hath commanded them.
I'm sorry that I didn't make any Jewish commentaries because this is Isaiah 48.
Yep.
Thou hast seen and heard all of this, and will ye not declare them? And that I have shown these things from this time, even hidden things, that thou didst not know them. They are created now, and now, from the beginning, even before the day when they heardest them not, they were declared unto thee, lest thou shouldst say, behold, I knew them. Yea, and thou heardst
let's
not.
pause for a sec. Let's pause for a sec, because you know what's really interesting about this? Even in old-timey King Jamesiness, this still reads better than anything we've got in Nephi so far.
Yeah,
you can tell that Isaiah had an editor, or at least was a better.
He's a better writer.
Yeah.
Better storyteller. Better poet, really.
Better poet.
Yeah, I will give cred to the OT for the literature on this, because comparing there's such a huge distinction here that I could actually read this.
Yeah.
Where the rest is just like
it's
Tomer, I have no idea what to say.
Yeah. And Mormons love Isaiah because mostly they don't understand it. There's entire classes of it at BYU because you have all these religion classes there. There's certain ones you're required to take: the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, New Testament. But you have other electives you can choose, and one of them is the Writings of Isaiah class. And that one, I took that one, and it was actually rather fascinating. But I didn't realize how insulting it was for the professor to do a Passover feast.
Oh.
and make it Mormon.
Oh dear.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
In
And-
what way is it Mormon?
Well, a lot of it where he, because he did the whole thing. And I went to it, and he read the prayers. We had all the different foods and all the different things, and except for not actual wine.
Do
it
they
was
have
grape juice,
matzos and
all of that.
lettuce
Yeah, we had.
and egg and
but
etc.?
they
Yeah.
would interpret everything from a Mormon lens.
Yep, and especially
Okay.
about how Elijah has already come because he came to Joseph Smith.
I mean, it's also a thing in Judaism. Like, there is a tradition that you open the door during the Passover because in anticipation for it's Eliyahu. You have butchered the name. I hate it. How can you differentiate between Elijah, which is Eliyahu, and Elisha?
They
How?
don't.
You're
They
talking
don't.
to
They
people who
can't.
say aluminium,
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
God.
that's the other problem is it gets all mixed up everywhere, who is being referred to, and Joseph Smith even mixes them up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the professor I had, he wrote the textbook for it called Isaiah, Prophet, Seer, and Poet, and presented it that way. And he was a good enough teacher that I actually started understanding more of Isaiah because of it, because I started seeing it more like poetry rather than just reading it straight
Shannon,
like I would anything else.
Did he get into the fact that there's 3 different source materials for Isaiah, or did they just skip over that?
They skipped over that because it's all a true prophet.
I
Mormons don't associate that at all. So they will teach you that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were all actual disciples of Christ during the time of Christ's life, and shit like that.
Even they don't tell us that.
I got to read a couple more comments. First of all,
Tomer.
Yeah, Deviant Outcast, who made the comment earlier about loving the Tomer's reformed Egyptian accent. He adds the note to say, Tomer should know I'm an Egyptologist.
I can't argue with authority, I guess.
It's she.
What's that?
It's she, not he.
She? Okay. And my apologies. And then
I want to comment. No, hold on.
Yes?
Go on. No, go on.
Reverend Howell says, first few chapters, I appreciated the holy members of the Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints, but now I'll /appreciate, request, condone Tomer's contributions.
We all do. Good God, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I anticipated that people will hate me because I don't know. I didn't feel like I would contribute a lot, but yeah, I think I achieved something.
You do. You are perfect to have on here. Yeah. There is a question in there from Jacques Polomer. Why no wine? Jesus would have been transmogrifying some wine and water to wine. But yes, and there's a reason for that, because Mormons have their really stupid word of wisdom thing going. And which, I mean, Joseph Smith, when he gave the word of wisdom saying no strong drinks, no hot drinks, and no, all this stuff, it's a code of eating and all that wasn't made into commandment until about the 1920s or 30s. I think it was Heber J. Grant did it. But even then it got interpreted as no alcohol, no tobacco, no coffee or tea, meaning green or black tea, not herbal tea, because Mormons drink herbal tea all the fucking time. And no drugs, no harmful drugs. And so that's why in these Passover feasts they use grape juice instead of wine. Is because of the Mormon word of wisdom thing. And that is something that is enough to keep you out of the temple. Almost enough. Tithing, if you don't pay your tithing, it definitely keeps you out, because Mormonism is an MLM. But me drinking coffee every day can keep me out of the temple too.
Wow.
I want to comment on several comments that I've read from John, specifically from Johnny. First, he says food holidays are best holidays. Well, you wouldn't like Passover because you can't eat bread in Passover. Anything that is leavened, you can't. You eat crackers. And he also says that my name wrong, which is Tomel. No, it's Tomer. So in the just wanted
See,
to
that's
comment
why
on
we said Tomer before.
Yeah, that's the right way to pronounce my name.
Yes. And yes, the word of wisdom was because of the spit stains and stuff. There was the group of the School of the Prophets, where Joseph Smith had a bunch of his guys there, and they were doing their thing, and they were getting drunk, and they were spitting tobacco and throwing up and probably peeing on the floor and everything else. And Emma's like, his wife Emma's going, okay, can you at least clean up after yourselves and everything? And Joseph Smith was like, fine. So he gives this thing that's a guidance, there is an idea that the reason for the hot drinks, like coffee and tea thing, was him striking back at his wife, because she and the other wives would get together and have coffee while they were doing their thing. So he's like, well, fine, if we can't get drunk, you can't have coffee.
Do Mormons drink coffee?
No.
I hate this. I hate this.
Wait,
can't live
I
without
gotta preface something. Do Mormons drink coffee? Yes. Do they say they drink coffee? No.
But they will also drink things that are coffee substitutes, like Postum.
Yeah, so they
cocaine.
We all hear that. We all hear that. You know, they're not going to do drugs. They don't smoke. They don't drink. They don't like.
Right.
Mostly, yes, they do.
You just don't admit to it.
Right.
Yeah. I started drinking coffee before I left the church, because I had my doctor tell me that would actually help my gut issues that were caused by medications. And I'm like, cool, excuses, medical excuses.
Clearly a Gentile doctor said that.
I know. And so, but yeah, the workarounds on all of this are ridiculous, because there is no real reason for no coffee and no black and green tea. There's none at all. They have actually said outright, it's not about the caffeine, it's about tea. You know, and there's been some who said, I'm sure glad the Lord didn't tell us not to eat strawberries, you know, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, you know, Mormons drink a
So
ton
it's like
of Coke.
So it's like Mormon kosher.
Yeah.
Kind of. So they issued this thing at one point on cinnamon, calling cinnamon a stimulant. And
fuck you. I mean,
100 years or more ago, there were a lot of religious zealots that were against pleasure of any kind. The inventor of the graham cracker, for example, which coincidentally has brown sugar and cinnamon and honey and all this stuff in it. Now, when it was originally made, it was this horrible, tasteless cardboard thing, and it was made because the guy who invented it was a religious zealot who didn't believe in pleasure.
Right.
We weren't supposed to enjoy this world at all.
They did a movie about him, actually. The Road to Wellville, I think, was about him.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's just
freaky deaky.
Yeah, I really want to be in a religion where everything is just unbearable.
Yeah,
cool.
And that'll make you crave the afterlife even better, because heaven can only be so good.
Right.
If you've already had cigarettes and cinnamon, if you actually if you have things that taste good, if you have things that feel good, you're not going to enjoy heaven so much.
Well, in fact, you even get told not to do those things, because if you become addicted to them, after you die, before you get resurrected with your body, your spirit is still going to crave them, and the cravings will be worse because you won't have a body to fulfill it.
Spirit rehab.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. But okay. Yeah, Mormons do this. They do it with artwork too. And I mean, I don't know how many of you non-Mormons, never Mormons, have ever been inside of a Mormon church. They all look the same.
I've never.
And there's been times throughout the last few decades where some of the people in the committees in charge of stuff in the leadership have gone in and said, okay, we need to remove the artwork from the temples and stuff. Some of the temples have really fantastic artwork. It's like the St. George Temple back in, what was it? I think it was in the 70s or 80s. One of these committee heads decided they needed to go tear out all of the original murals that were in there. And so they sent in workers that just ripped them off the wall these were original, amazing artwork from the time when they built this, and they just shredded them, tearing them off the wall in pieces.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, all things considered, everything that goes on in the temple is really shitty stuff, but some of the temples have really, really beautiful artwork in them. It's like the Manti temple has amazing artwork for each, because in that one they were the live shows rather than films, because it had been around for long before films, and so each room you went into represented different things. You know, you had the garden room, you had the lone and dreary world room, and that one, I still to this day, I only went through that temple once, but I still can picture that room, because the murals on the wall showed all sorts of parts of history, whether it be biblical history, you know, because they had things like the Tower of Babel and all this stuff in there. But it was beautiful. And it had behind the altar, just in the front, it had this massive figure of a Native American chief that was beautifully done. And they still, to this day, have people ruminating in the leadership about going in and taking all this out. And I'm like, you know, they're beautiful. Their artwork should not be destroyed.
Unless it is very, very offensive, then maybe.
Yeah.
What verse are we?
Then we have to talk about what constitutes an offense. So we have 700-year-old Buddhist statues in what was it, Afghanistan,
Iraq?
And
is it Afghanistan? The
Afghanistan.
Taliban blew
Afghanistan.
up.
Yeah,
I can't remember where the Buddhist statue, but they were way further west than I thought Buddhism ever got. But yeah, so you had these huge statues, and just the fact that they are so old and so large. I mean, these are impressive things. You could have something of a tourist industry out of that, but of course the Taliban is not having it. No, this is something that, you know, people would like to study and people would like to know about. So we're going to blow the hell out of it.
Yeah, the Buddhas of Bamiyan.
And they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't
actually.
I don't think that with artwork. If we're because we're not just talking about art in the case of these Buddhist statues. We're talking about anthropology. We're talking about archaeology.
Right.
These are very old. This is from another culture. We should study these, but there's no point in destroying it, because if God was offended at it, I've read this book that shows exactly what horrible things God will do when he gets offended.
Yeah.
God is obviously not bothered with them at all.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they don't see it that way. Same thing with Mesopotamian archaeology. They'll go into museums and they'll knock down those idols and crush them when they get their hands on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame.
So reading another chat, Adam Horn says, "Hi, y'all. Love your videos. Aaron, can I make a video request, please? I'd love to have people understand cone dystrophy, please." Cone dystrophy?
Does it talk about it's in eye disease? I don't know.
I don't
why
know what I
you
would have to
talk
do
about
with that. I've never heard of it.
I think we need a follow-up text for that one.
Yeah. So moving on to the next one for Blue Collar Red. David Fitzgerald is great on these too.
Thank you.
Yes, he is.
And then Atticus for $10 says, "Aaron, I want to thank you. Your work most recently this series has inspired me to change course and become a doctor of theology.
Woo!
I want to meaningfully contribute to this discourse someday." That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And then Walker Bow. Walker Bow shared a link with us to say what Reformed Egyptians sounded like from Joseph Smith's speech. Oh, that's something we got to play later. I don't know how I'm going to share that now. Yeah. But yes.
I think we should continue with the with the.
He gave the answer on what cone dystrophy is. It's a general term used to describe a group of rare eye disorders that affect the cone cells of the retina.
What does it have to do with Aaron?
Yeah.
I don't think he has any specialty on the subject. So
I got no business talking about that. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's reading?
Maybe I should read it, but now
you
in
should
my
read
most
it,
American accent.
There we go.
Let's try. What verse are we?
9.
Yep.
Are we 8?
Just
9?
with it.
I thought it was 8.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
It is 8.
Verse 8 from my horrible American pronunciation. Yeah, and thou heardest not. Yeah, thou knewest not. Yeah, from that time thine ear was not opened, for I knew that thou wouldest be thou wouldest steal very treacherously, and wast called a transgressor from the womb. Nevertheless, for my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain from thee. Then I cut thee not off. For behold, I have refined thee, I have chosen thee in the furnace of... Now we changed to British. I don't know why.
I was gonna say, yeah.
For behold, I have refined thee. Because the language is British, and it's just okay. For behold, I have refined thee. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. For mine
we
own
can
sake.
stop. Tomer, I'll say this much for you. If I were to if I were to try to do this in an Israeli accent, it would be worse. Okay, so
Aaron, do you want to do some reading? You've been very quiet this episode.
Yeah, okay. Let me see. So we're on from verse 11. For mine own, I'm going to do Southern preacher. For mine own sake, yeah. For mine own sake, I will do this. For I will not suffer my name to be polluted, and I will not give my glory to another. Hearken unto me, O Jacob, and Israel, my called, for I am he. I am the first, and I am also the last. Mine hand hath also laid the foundations of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. I call unto them, and they stand up together. All ye, assemble yourselves and hear. Who among them hath declared these things unto them? The Lord hath loved him, yea, and he will fulfill his word, in which he hath declared by them. And he will do this pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall come upon the Chaldeans.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that?
Remember, this is him quoting Isaiah.
Yeah, this is Isaiah. Just
Yeah.
I
You want me
haven't
to
been
continue?
prepared.
And by the way, this is Isaiah talking during the Babylon exile, how God's going to smash the Babylonians and he's going to mess them up, which never
happened.
when the Persians take over Babylon, it's a painless conquest, and they act like they're doing the Babylonians a favor by liberating their Babylonian gods from the Assyrians and all.
Okay. Shall I continue or someone else?
Oh, let me do. Where are we?
Okay.
15.
15. All right. Also saith the Lord, I am the Lord. Yea, I have spoken. Yea, I have called him to declare. I have brought him, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye near.
Hey, hold on for a second.
Okay.
Isaiah 48 in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because this one, it says, also saith the Lord, I, the Lord. It just says in there, it says, I, even I, have spoken.
Yeah, I'm reading from the Hebrew Bible, and it's repeating the word ani, which means I've spoken.
Yeah. So Joseph seems to feel the need to point out the name of whoever's talking.
I, Nephi, I mean the Lord.
I, the Lord. I know. So, yeah.
All right.
Okay, go on. 16.
Come ye near unto me. I have not spoken in secret. From the beginning and from the time it was declared have I spoken, and the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me. And thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, I have sent him, the Lord thy God, who teacheth thee to profit, who leadeth thee by the way thou shouldst go, hath done it. Oh, that thou hadst hearkened unto my commandments. Then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof.
Oh,
my God.
that's interesting. They actually are correct with the vowels, because it does say in the Hebrew Bible the vowels.
It does.
As we've seen in previous chapters in Blasphemous Bible, they talk about they're not saying the bowels. They're coming from, I think, the womb, or from the belly, not the bowels. But it does say in Genesis the bowels. So that's interesting that they have decided. I want to see if the NIV says bowels as well.
Oh, don't trust the NIV. They're full of bowel gravel.
I'm like, what do they mean by that anyway? Are they talking kidney stones or
no?
what?
No,
I wondered about that too.
No, they are referring to
they're just people.
That's how they think. That's how they thought that the babies originated from. They originated from bowels. And I remember that I've read one comment. I don't know if this was from Ibn Ezra, who said that the bowels are a euphemism for the genitals,
the lady parts. Yeah. Makes sense.
The holes are very close.
The holes are very
close. The bowels also the verses that talk about bowels of males. So the genitals in general, I think.
Gotcha.
Genitals in
Let's
general.
continue.
General genitals. Sorry, go ahead.
All right.
Did Fitz freeze?
Dave.
Yeah.
He froze again. All right.
Oh, sorry.
I'll go.
Sorry. Where was I? Where did it cut off?
20.
20.
We're at 20.
Okay, here we go.
20,
Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans, with a voice of singing declare ye, tell this, utter to the end of the earth, say ye, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob. And they thirsted not, he led them through the deserts, he caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them, he clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. And notwithstanding, he hath done all this, and greater also. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I misspoke a second ago. I said the Babylonians, he didn't rescue them from the Assyrians. He rescued them from their own king, who the Persians said was being impious to the Babylonian gods. So it's very funny because this is not the only place where we've got an Old Testament prophet talking about how God's going to give it to the Babylonians. And nope, that didn't happen. Sorry.
Nope.
They were just fine. Persians treated them great.
Failed prophecy.
That's what I love about reading Ezekiel. But he just
Same
does
deal.
everything wrong.
Same deal.
No, I mean, I've just seen chapter 21. Compare Isaiah 49. Fuck you.
Oh, there's so
this
many
is
Isaiah
so
chapters in here.
lazy.
Yes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is very lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'll just copy this.
Half of the Book of Mormon is
God.
plagiarized from the
Yeah.
I think we should just read from the Isaiah, and we'll do a blasphemous Bible on Isaiah. I guess. I don't know.
There you go.
What the fuck
There's
is this?
there's even later in there. I think it's a verse of Matthew. Is even in third Nephi. Yeah.
Well, that according to the flesh business he said earlier, that's right out of Paul. That's right out of Paul. Yep.
I got some more.
There's a lot of urban legends about the Isaiah stuff that Mormons love to tell. You know, they'll talk about being out in war, and they have their little pocketbook of Mormon. They get shot. The bullet hits the Book of Mormon, and it stops at First Nephi chapter 19. And their family's like, "Yeah, I can't get through Isaiah either." You know, there's so many versions of that story.
Okay, so reading some more chats. I've got W Knights for $2. David F. Love the Pocket Panther.
Wait, what?
There have been a few comments about a pocket panther, and I'm going to assume that that's the cat that was just in your lap.
Yes.
Oh, I thought they were making some aspersions about my character, but yes, I've had 3 different cats show up on my lap right now. In fact, let's see. Here's another one. We have 10 cats and a dog to choose from in this house.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Aaron, you have how many snakes?
I got 3 cats, 3 dogs, the parrot, a rat, and 9 snakes.
9 snakes.
9 snakes. How does the rat survive with a bunch of snakes around?
The rat is in a cage. It's my stepson's pet.
No.
The snakes are all eating frozen thawed.
There you go.
So,
Oh.
J.R. Eldridge says, did Tomer learn his American accent from Yosemite Sam?
I do thought this.
Well, I exaggerated. I'm not gonna lie, but if you're interested, my American accent. When I learned English, I learned it from private tutors, and they used American accent. So, and I think that the Israeli accent is a bit silly. So I prefer to use American accent than Israeli accent.
And then Matt White says, regarding Road to Wellville, J.K. Kellogg invented cornflakes to dissuade his patients from onanism.
Yeah.
Masturbation. Pocket pantherism, if you will.
Yes.
All right. And Matt White, it's the same. No, thanks again, Aaron, for the Aaronettes. The
Aaronites. The Aaronites.
For flushing the impacted shit of religion from our collective alimentary canals.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you paint quite a picture there.
Yeah.
Oh dear. We're all an enema. Okay.
And then Von Reck. I like that one. $25. Thank you. I, Von Reck, give this donation unto you, and thus it came to pass.
Yeah, like we said, we're all an enema.
So we're going to be doing next week. But we'll do. I am home next week. I'll be able to do the Blasphemers Bible as normal.
Yes.
Yes. And sorry that I had to take a break. My wife was actually confused that I scheduled another one of these things. Not just that it was my birthday last week, or yesterday, but that there was this thing that we had to go to out of town, and she's like, "Did you forget?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, definitely did."
Yeah.
But tomorrow, or so this coming weekend, I'll be back to normal.
Gotcha.
So,
that'll be fun. Bryce should be back next week.
Yay! Got to have Bryce.
Yeah.
He's encyclopedia. I was saying earlier, we should have Bryce here. He could tell us exactly when Joseph Smith came up with this and did this.
Yeah, and
that's the fun of having him.
Yeah,
I thought right when the show started, I thought that Brian Dalton was going to be here. I thought he was just going to be a couple of moments late, but he sent me an email that he couldn't make it either, health reasons, and so. We're a little light today, but thank you, Fitz, for choosing a good time to come back.
I was delighted that the schedule allowed. It only was allowed because Sarah Bareilles has a free concert happening in Eureka today. It has shut down the whole town except for that. Wow. So therefore, I was able to get off work easy enough. So I don't know when I'll be back again, but I look forward to that very much. And
okay,
I always love being here.
All right, and then another chat from Atticus, $5. Thank you. Video idea. I've been reading the Malleus Maleficarium.
Malleus Maleficarium, yeah.
Okay.
Hammer of the Witches.
That? Okay.
Yes.
And the parallels to the Satanic Panic and QAnon is shocking. I'd love your thoughts. I have to. I'm embarrassed that I can tell just by looking at that I should have known what that is. And then being a practicing neo-pagan occultist for a while, I'm embarrassed that I don't know what that is. So I will have to look that up.
That was basically the Pilgrim's version of Satanic Panic. It was the Hammer of Witches. It was a witch hunter's manual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looking it up now.
Interesting.
I'm definitely going to check that out. So thank you for finally making me aware of this. Yeah, and then we have another comment from Johnny Repine, $6.66. Thank you.
I see what he
Nashville
did
sauce made me fart the intro to I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Oh, God. Okay, now we're getting gross.
Okay, yeah. I think on that note, I think we'll close it up. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see all of you again next week, and maybe some, filter in some of our other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know what else to say. Anybody need to say anything?
Thank you very much for enjoying this episode.
Take care.
I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
pause here.
Okay.
Awkward silence. Yeah.